said, I also and my maidens will fast likewise. We're going to get there. Now let's read on. And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. Stop. Esther's recognizing here. Now, I'm not following the exact letter of the law. Read on. She said what? And if I perish, I perish. I want to point it out right here. That's not a statement of fear. That is a statement of faith. At that point, she had her mind made up, and she said, I will not turn back. And you know, this has got to be it for us as Christians. At some point in time, we got to get to the point where our mind is made up, and for God we live, and for God we die, and we're going to serve him. And it ain't no point where we're even considering turning back. Onward, forward, we march. So here we go, learning the deadly threat. So Mordecai was out in front of the palace. And he was out there in sackcloth and ashes. And Esther found out. And Esther's like, oh my goodness, what is wrong? What is going on? Because after all, sackcloth and ashes meant mourning. So he had rent his clothes, put on sackcloth. He was in sackcloth, and he was in front of the gate. And Esther, remember now, this ain't just her cousin. This is the man who raised her like a father. So we can call him cousin daddy if you want to, but this is her daddy out there in front of the gate of the palace. So she wants to know what's going on. She had a faithful servant. I say that again. A faithful servant by the name of Hatak. So she sent Hatak, said, go out there and find out what's wrong with Mordecai. So he went out there, and not only did Mordecai tell what was going on, he sent a copy of the decree. He said, now, send that back to Esther. So Mordecai's report on the plot of Haman came to Esther with details. This is what Haman plans to do. And so here's the thing. Mordecai had a request to Esther. Now remember now, up until this point, nobody knows but God, Mordecai, Esther, and of course their close family people, that Esther is also Hadassah, who is a what? Young Jewish woman. So now she had kept that silent all this time, and her lovely figure, her beauty, had gotten her to the place where she's in the king's palace. Now we got to understand this now. This is an orphan young woman who is in a position, her pretty face got her in a prominent place, if you will. But now that's going to be challenged. So Mordecai sends a request to Esther. So now what he tells Esther is that, Esther, you're going to have to go before the king. Now why is that important? Remember what happened to Vashti? The king asked her to come to this elaborate party. Vashti said, I ain't going. What happened? She got deposed. Now, it wasn't uncommon back in that day for the king to come off with your head. So here we are. He sends that request, and it's an immediate dilemma for Esther. Why? Because there's some things Mordecai didn't know. Even though she was made queen, even though she was in the palace, Esther said, the king ain't even called for me for 30 days. I ain't even been in his presence for 30 days. Not only that, you can't just waltz up in there. You can't just come in off the street talking about, hey, king, I was in the neighborhood and figured I'd drop by. Okay, that'd be the way to get your head removed from your shoulders. That was a threat to the king, to the kingdom, and to your own life. So she, knowing that, immediately she had a problem. But Mordecai, he challenged her. And he challenged her like this. He said, have you ever thought about this? You ever thought about this, Esther? Maybe you are where you are for such a time as this. Have we ever thought about maybe your position, maybe your status, maybe your prominence is so that you can do something for God from this prestigious purpose, and he wants to use you in that purpose. Now, she didn't have no bragging rights in terms of being where she was. Oh, now, her beauty was undeniable. Her fineness, the Bible says she had a lovely figure, was undeniable. So other than that, she had no really claim to fame to be where she was, but God had her there. Hello? And that's how Mordecai. If I ask you for $1 and you ain't got it, no big deal. But if I say, Mr. Parker, Sister Parker, I'm counting on you. I got something big coming up. I ain't going to be able to make it unless you help me out. Now you know I'm counting on you. You're going to want to put more effort into that. Rather than say no, you're going to prayerfully consider it. Rather than just brush me off, you're going to really deliberate on that because I'm counting on you. And that's what Mordecai placed in Esther's heart.